Hello, Mark Rudd Larsen here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm kind of giving you a different look at my office space. Still has quite a bit of echo, but it's got hardwood floors. And I have not found a rug that I really like yet to cover any of it. As you can tell, they're really beautiful. But today, actually, I didn't know what I was going to do for today's podcast. And God told me this morning, which anybody who knows me, I talk to God almost daily. And most of the people that are going to be guests aren't able to do it today or this week. They're going to be doing it down the line. So God's like, "Yeah, why don't you talk about hope and be the bringer of hope?" And I thought, okay, I can do that. And I think it's something that our country, our world lacks a lot of. And yeah, I just hope. It is such four letters, but it means the world. It basically is the world for going forward. Because if we don't have hope, we don't have anything. I think just everything. You hope that the weather's going to be nice. It's amazing how many times you say it in a day's time. I hope this doesn't happen or this does happen. During like World War II, they hoped they were victorious. Um, I hope I get that job. I hope I don't, this bill doesn't come in until whatever. I hope my CEA numbers for my cancer are good. I know Cheryl always has that every year when we go in to see how her numbers are doing, and thankfully we are blessed. They are continuing to be great. The numbers, they're right where they need to be. And for anybody who hasn't had cancer, CEA numbers is it's a very important number among other things. And but hope. I think one thing, I think we lack hope, is why people in the United States are the way they are. They always see whoever wins the election, political election, the federal election. Um, we lose hope because when you lose hope, you kind of get you're not as civil as you would be. And at one time in this country, we were more civil to each other, I believe. Not at all times, but more than I believe we are now. And I think when either Republican or Democrat gets elected, the other side that lost loses hope. And the only thing everybody wants in this country is the best for the country. And I truly believe that. But I don't believe that we see what we're doing because of our lack of hope. It is just we don't treat people the way we should, with respect, and kindness. We treat them like they're the enemy. And actually, there was a post the other day that the United States isn't going to go further until we see, rather than seeing Republican and Democrat being enemies, that we see that we are together in this with different views. And that's a great post. And that's so true. But hope. Um, like I said, four little letters. And when you don't have hope, like there's no hope that you're gonna make enough money to pay this month's rent or mortgage. You your whole reality is tainted. And let me tell you, I know how it is. Anybody who doesn't know me would not know my backstory. But the backstory is last few years, Cheryl and I've been struggling a lot. And we are right now are blessed because it seems to be turning around greatly. I hope that's the case. And just think, I mean, how many times do you say hope? You should keep track of how many times you say, I'm going to in a day's time, because hope is what it's all about. Um, I hope my child gets into this college. I hope, I hope I get home all right. My car is not working because there's something you aren't able to fix. Ours has been that way. We have the kindness of people and God that has helped us through all these difficult times, and I'm blessed that He's in my life, and how He directs me daily, and yeah, He's still working on me to write my first book, and He doesn't let it up, and I'm still working on how I'm. I hope I'm able to write a book. No, I know I could do a book. There's at least one book in me, if not more, and I hope people want to read it. So, but when we lose hope, you kind of give up on life, and you really everything turns negative. And I think that is another reason why in this country we've lost hope. With all the things going on in these cities in California, Chicago, there's doesn't seem to be any hope. We have gotten so far away from what this country is based on, and with the infighting, the bickering, like children. Sometimes I think children are more civil. Doesn't leave you a lot of hope for this country going forward. And the thing is, this is still the best country there is. I mean, we have our issues. Everybody does. But I'm sitting here in the middle of central Nebraska on a really nice sunny day, having some kombucha. Um, I just had a lunch with my wife out in the park. Um, Beautiful day. Everything's going great. And I think hope, when you have hope, things definitely look more positive. And you just need to say, okay, I'm really negative. What can I be hopeful for? And there's always something. There's always something. You got out of bed, you're feeling well. You actually had a piece of pizza or something, something minimal, but you had nourishment. Um, Mine is I love where I'm at. I mean, I live, in Nebraska where I have lots of wildlife and awesome people, and I'm glad that I am here because there's other places in the world that I would be not probably doing this, and I'm not scared here either. And I would think that there might be other places where I would not be hopeful because that would be the case. So next time, when you're not hopeful, just look at your life. It's just like, okay, how can I turn this around? And that is what I've learned too. There's always a positive, and a lot of times the things when you're going through that are negatives are making you stronger. I learned that greatly. Um, Let me tell you, I've learned that greatly, and now things are getting really good. And yeah, they're really getting good. And but there was times where, especially Cheryl has a little more problems turning the negative into positive. And I would not be where I'm at today doing what I'm doing this podcast, if it hadn't been for all the things that I've been through. I mean, I could have been so negative. I mean, when Cheryl had her advanced colon cancer 10 years ago, when she's had her issues this year with, they thought for a while there she was having a stroke or brain cancer or breast cancer or, just numerous things. And we have fought with, because she's in the point where she's getting over to off the Affordable Care Act, not, and to Medicare and Medicaid and all that stuff. Medicare, I guess it is. And that has not been a smooth transition at all. Um, and they won't separate children because I'm still not old enough for that. And 5 times we've gone through it, and they still don't have us separated. I give up. I'm hoping at the end. I'm hoping, at the end of the year that they get it figured out because I'm not going to do it a sixth time. Um, it's amazing. But if that's one of the smallest things that I've got to deal with, that's pretty small. I mean, some of these people don't have the food, they don't have shoes, they don't have clothing, they don't have anything to eat, they don't have shelter. And I'm complaining about the wood floors that make it noisy in here. And I'm just blessed that I have such beautiful floors and they're solid oak. And this house, there's quite a backstory to how this house came to be Cheryl Knight. And yeah, I know this house well. My parents rented this house when I was two, and lived most of my growing up years when it was being rented. But Cheryl and I now own this house, so we're just about in the process of getting it all owned. Not too much left on the mortgage, so and we're hopeful to have that done soon. Hope is so positive, and I think we need more of that. And if somebody's not being hopeful or looks like they're really having a down day, just go over there and kind word. That might be all that it takes to help them through their day. I mean, Cheryl and I were out in public yesterday, and actually at Raising Cane's, one of my favorite places to eat. And this gal who I thought she was probably the manager, and I even told her, I was like, "You're doing a great job," and she really was, but she wasn't. But I made her day just by saying that. And a lot of times we don't think to say that, or it's like, I don't want to do that. They think I'm kind of strange or whatever. And it's anything but, and you're always going to have that where the people might think it's strange, but who cares? And that was one thing. Cheryl had this really nice blouse jacket. I don't know, it is blouse, I guess, blousey top, and which is really really pretty, very floral, springy almost. And the gal told Cheryl she looked really really nice, and she told me, she says, "Now doesn't your wife look exquisite?" And I was like, "Yes, she does." And that lady wouldn't have to do that, but she made our day. The rest of the day I was pumped, and I know Cheryl was. And just go out there and give people hope that there's still good people out there, because they're mostly that. The media, which does not instill a lot of hope, there are exceptions, want to make, well, negativity sells, and negativity has people viewing in. That's why I don't watch the news almost never. And even everybody's like, well, you're not informed. It's like, I'm not informed when I watch the news. Um, so I don't do that. I'm not hopeful that I'll find anything that I will think is worth watching. Um, so I don't do that. I do these podcasts. I go around talking to people. Um, I'm just, I I want to be the bringer of hope, and that's what God told me to concentrate on with this episode. And yeah, any way I can bring hope. And there's some of these people I see that have so many issues. I don't know what they were born with, or, and they a lot of times are in great spirits. I admire them for having that outlook on life. And you might say, well, they don't know better. It's like, yeah, I think most of the time they do know better, but they see the world where everybody is friendly. And I think a lot of people nowadays don't. They're not hopeful that somebody's going to be friendly. They're seeing the world as somebody going to take advantage of them or hurt them. And we have to get away from that, because when what you think you attract, you bring it in. And if you think you're going to fail at something, you're going to probably fail at something. If you're going to find the worst in people, you will probably find the worst in people. But I'm hopeful you won't. I'm hopeful you will take this podcast to heart and just see the best in the world. You know, um, I'm hopeful that I'm just hopeful that you like this episode of the podcast. I'm hopeful that this makes a difference in your life. All I want to do is help people, and I'm very hopeful that this will do that. And if there's any other way that I can be more helpful or hopeful or whatever, let me know. I'm always open. This podcast I do for you. Um, yeah. And the only better thing is when I have a guest, because then I get to talk. And I've already done a lot of talking today. I was in town at the library, and got in a very good conversation there, and also got to have some kids that were from a daycare come and be so hopeful, so awesome. The one little guy, he came over and showed me his dinosaur shirt. It's pretty awesome too. But I think it was his sister, and they were just all around me, and it was just like, now that's the way to be: trusting, hopeful, and you need to trust but verify. A lot of times, you have to be careful in today's world. But unless somebody shows me that they're going to be where I can't trust them, I'm going to trust them. And I can say, hopefully I never get taken. But even when you are saying that, you can still get taken. So you don't want to live your life with your guard up, because it's a terrible way to live your life. It is terrible. Just because most people are going to show you that life, people are good. They all want the best for everybody. There's going to be those rotten eggs, or whatever you want to call it, but you can't live for that. And I see so many putting their barricades up, and to be safe and not hopeful, and it's not a life. They won because they've actually made you pull back in and not experience life the way God wants you to experience life. He wants you to have the best life possible. And that's why wanted me to do this podcast for you guys. That's why he wants me to write a book. And I know what he wants me to write the book about. He has been very vocal on that. And people think, I'm Cheryl. And it's like, he talks to you? And it's like, he does almost daily. And he doesn't do it like this, that's for sure. But he does talk to me, he directs me. And it's awesome. It's so awesome. And that's, if you lose hope, go talk to God. He's always there. He won't talk to you like this. He will talk to you kind of in your head. I don't know how you put it, but that's where I hear him. And he's ornery. And he does work in mysterious ways. But the people he crosses my path with, and it's just cool. and makes me have lots of hope for the future. Because I know he's, everybody's like, well, they're coming, Jesus, God's coming back. It's like, he never left. He's always here. He's working for people like myself and others. And I meet a lot of those people. Just like one yesterday. She's going to be actually be on the podcast soon. And that was one of the very first things. She wouldn't do the podcast unless God could be part of it. And it's like, amen. So, and she is, oh my gosh, her vibe, her energy, is just off the charts. And can't wait for you to see that episode. And yeah, God crosses my path with so many neat people, and because people like that aren't being exposed, to the general public, because they're exposing you to the war over the Ukraine, or you know, there's so many things, the stuff going on in the cities, what Trump's doing, what the Democrats are doing, what's going on in California, and you lose hope because you think the world's coming to an end. It isn't. And just and if you want to really make a difference, do something to counteract that. That's positive. Um, that's how you make a difference. And there's Ripple, and I've talked about Ripple many times on these podcast episodes, where yeah, you're the one that can make a difference. You can change a direct trajectory, easy for me to say, or not, um, of your life and others. Because when you come and are very upbeat, like the lady yesterday with giving Cheryl the compliment, um, that changed the whole day. And that gives me hope because there's still a lot of people out there that are great, that are good, that know what counts and what is actually matters in this country and the world. And yeah, and maybe start a podcast, the Hope Podcast or something like that. Everybody has a podcast in them, whether doing an episode or actually conducting a podcast, because there's not much really to them. It's basically a conversation, either with a person or when I'm talking to the screen here, and basically talking to you later on. Um, but it is don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Everything's good. Um, Everything is very good, and I truly believe we're on a trajectory to having people go know God more, have Him in your life, their life. Going to church. There was actually a church that this past weekend they had cars lined up going to their services, and like the person said, things are changing, and I truly do believe that. I mean, if God's working as much as He is in my life, I can't even imagine what He's doing in other people's lives and other things. He can, he, everything is done by him. I mean, yeah, there's evil, but and doesn't worry me. The protection and everything else, God's shield, and I work for him. Basically, I've told him I work for him, and the pay is having a great life, be able to do these and talk to people, use my voice. And that is one thing God really, really wants me to do is use my voice. But He has never said on stage. I mean, it might be stage sometime, but He wants me to be on the world stage. And I believe that's what this is. Um, but I'm not completely out of um, dismissing being on a stage. And if I can make a difference, especially in children's lives, I would definitely be there, especially when it comes to suicide. And I've had so many run-ins with that topic this week already, almost daily. And how many people? I mean, the other day it was these people had the school had lost three of the high school men to suicide in the last year, and they really looked like they had great lives, but there's something that they were missing, and we need to find out what that is. I think it might be God. I think it might be positivity, because when they feel like there's nothing positive or anything going forward, or they lose hope, when you lose hope, that kind of thing does happen. Unfortunately, not every time. And to get to that point, um, there's got to be a really, really sad place that you can't go forward anymore, and you've lost hope, and you see no hope. And I see a lot of kids that aren't that way, but I see a lot of kids that just like this country's going down. There's no jobs, they can't afford to move out of the house. I mean, they've lost hope, and I can't imagine being that way at that age. I mean, I was not that way, but I've been blessed my whole life, and never has crossed my mind to do suicide, thankfully, and hopefully that never occurs, and I'm 100% sure that's not going to. I got too many things to do, and that's another thing. Everybody's like, well, I hope I make it to retirement. I hope that my retirement holds out. You're just putting all that out to the universe. It will hire, it will last. You will make it to retirement. You will, do what you want, and don't wait till retirement. I was reading a thing the other day how bad retirement really is. That's why I will never retire. I will keep doing something I love. And I do understand if you're going to an office job or something you hate, that you want to retire. But maybe before that, start doing something that you love and keep doing it. Don't retire from life. And I do see so many people, and then they don't know what to do. It's like their job was their whole life. And it's not a good thing. I've seen it way too many times where they're lost. They have no identity. They don't know what to do. And they kind of start losing hope. And then I see it kind of goes downhill because I see so many people get ill or have some health problem after they retire because they don't have something to look forward to. And it's very, very important to get up every morning. And I don't even need an alarm clock. I usually am up before, I'm definitely up before 6, sometimes 5. And you just do it. Even on days I can sleep in, I really can't because it's ingrained. It's my discipline to getting up, and I can always do better on my discipline. We all can, I believe. So, but I believe discipline also gives you hope. And so on that, don't lose hope. I want to be the bearer of good news, of hope, positive. Because look at this country. I mean, it is so vast, and how many people live in this country peacefully, and how many people, especially in our area, and I imagine other areas, that help each other out when they're struggling. Um, there's a lot of things to be hopeful for, and so don't give up hope. And on that, I'm going to end this episode of the Drink Your Podcast. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, don't give up hope. You got this. Bye.